Hey. Welcome to the Community Rip Live here on Stocktwits. It's your bus driver extraordinaire, Ben/Bags, with the stars of the show. GP's a black box of human emotion up there somewhere. GP will come right back with us, I'm sure. Nick, Jfdi, just fucking do it with us. And today's special guest, our brother from another mother who we met over at Coronado at Stocktoberfest, Matt Payne, who is a senior market strategist. It's so great to have you with us, Matthew.
Well,
Matt, if I may.
yeah. No, any way you want, right? But it's good to see you boys again. It's been a while now, so it's been about what, month and a half.
Yeah.
It was a good time out there. So I mean, good to hang with you guys again.
It was. It's great to see you, Matt. And I was looking forward to starting off like we always do, looking at the cues and getting in a disagreement with GP. So we'll shelve that for just a minute. But let's pull up the charts here. Pow! There we go. Got the cues up. Hey, Nick, are we seeing some follow through?
I mean, it feels like it to me. You're seeing, I don't know, Tesla's pushing. Like Google looks fantastic. Netflix not so much. You know, whatever. I wasn't at my desk most of the morning, but whatever came out on Microsoft, it looks like they're buying it up. Some of the smaller, more speculative stuff is starting to pop. It looks like Rocket Labs kind of stood out, just kind of sitting there on the 30 and the 40 week. But yeah, I don't know. I think so.
Matt, how are you feeling?
Yeah. So I mean, for me, like last week was kind of the week to start putting on some positions here, and we'll see how it kind of goes. I do think we're starting to see some confirmation. We're above most of the moving averages. We're above what is it, the October or the early October or late September highs there. So I think we're starting to see that. We are starting to see some big players get back into the options market as well. I mean, I focus on a lot of that. Nick mentioned Microsoft. I mean, just earlier, I was just looking at it. Somebody came out with a $1.2 million sweep on Microsoft today.
Whoa.
For the 12th. So they are looking for Microsoft to go higher off of that negative news. But we're seeing it in all kinds of names. Rocket Lab, you mentioned that, Nick. That's a name. Full disclosure, I'm in that position. We bought it there near that 200-day moving average. But we do like it, and that's moving today. We're starting to see something. I saw him's sweeper today actually really big, so GP will like that whenever he gets on here. About 750,000 out to March.
Wow.
And they're looking at the 41 strike, I believe it was. So they're giving it some room there too. So I think, I mean, you're starting to see some, spirits here, right? They want that Santa rally. That's why I'm wearing the sweater. I think it's there's a good chance, right? We came out of that fall period, and we kind of, most bears lost their chance in October to really kind of get that big drawdown that they look for. And now we're heading into the most bullish season of the year with some caveats. So, which we can talk about later. So.
Hey, here comes GP. Speaking of Santa and the ho-ho-hos, GP joins us. Hey, GP. Hey, it looks like we're part of the bookcase club now. GP was in his ski chalet last week, and now we just have bookcases everywhere. Matt, you're going to have to get some bookcases. We'll wayfare some to you.
I think I do have some built-ins. I just haven't got anything up after moving into the new house. But next time I'll make sure I pivot the room towards them.
Hey, GP, we were just talking about some follow through. Nick and Matt were just going over what they're seeing, and Matt said he's seeing some pretty big option flow. And specifically for you, we know how much you like HIMS. So HIMS has some sweeper, I think Matt said.
Yeah. I don't know about the options. I'm not really watching it as much, but the names just like, they just look great. We've been consolidating 3 days, 4 days now above the 1010 highs here in the Qs, in the SPYs. RTY just put in an outside reversal day, bullish engulfer. That's small caps. If you are not following futures, just took out a 4-day range without flinching. While they rumored out some Microsoft news, which they denied. So while the rest of the market, what is that now, third day out of the last maybe 10 days that small caps have outperformed. And so this goes into the conversation that we had yesterday, which is 2026 is going to be a great year for real economy and real economy stocks. I don't have much doubt about it. And now you're starting to see it in price action across the board. So names like if you're looking at JB Hunt, if you're looking at HIMS, these are all real economy stocks and HIMS is not expensive for it to die 50-60% at the end of the day. But yeah, still haven't seen follow through though, right? Like we've consolidated, so we haven't even broken out. And the strength of the NQs here, if you're watching it here, is pretty freaking phenomenal considering Netflix is getting shellacked, down nearly 6%. Spotify is getting shellacked. Our bull market leaders from most of this year, or most of last year and earlier this year. Amazon is getting shellacked. Apple is down. Microsoft is getting shellacked. Meta is down. The only NQ names that are heavier weight is Google, Tesla, and Palantir. So you don't even have broader participation, and we're green already on the NQs. That tells you a lot of the equal weighted names are stepping in and stepping up. So stuff to pay attention to. While they do what they're doing in the other mega cap names, they are propping up the 1 to 5% rangers, right? Like, and
Yep.
so just to keep in mind. And so when these guys start to participate, and they will, if you don't think mega caps are not going to participate in a real economy move, it just won't be in. Yeah, exactly. I'll stop.
And I generally don't look at the QQQE. I'm gonna.
That's equal weighted, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna start paying attention to that a little bit more.
So
I was
speaking
just gonna
of Nick,
point out. Oh yeah.
go ahead. No. Go
No,
ahead.
I'll just say we touched on it a little bit yesterday. We're pushing. We're within the 12th week of this kind of sideways range bound that we're in. So, I mean, time wise, it definitely would behoove. I guess, depending on time frame and strategy, to start getting involved. If you're not, you should be, I think, at the very least, anticipating some type of resolution. Obviously, if you're in bear mode, you're probably not liking the action. But if you're leaning to the bullish side, you should be anticipating the trend resuming in the direction of the prior trend prior to this consolidation. So pushing into the 12th week, like you got to be thinking like, all right, we're getting close to it. Plus again, time of the year,
Hey,
yeah.
Matt, I think
volume
what both
that
of
came
these
in?
guys are saying is something that I talked about a little bit on yesterday's show. It is in reference to your tweet about just market breadth breaking out, right? And that's really the follow through that I'm talking about, because that involves the names that you can't just point at the Magnificent Seven or whatever acronym you want to give them, because most of those are kind of flattish, if not down, while everything else is going.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, that's why I posted that chart, right? Like, so during the holiday weekend, yes, volume's light, but you saw that the breadth was actually extremely strong. We broke out on the advanced decline line. There's another thing that I was actually mentioning with like colleagues at my firm. This was like 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm like, I just think there's a little bit of a reason why December's what, the second most bullish month of the year, I think, or something like that, and it's the most bullish time of the year, right? The holiday season, everybody loves it. You got November, you got December, but there's one thing that actually stood out to me. It was actually a Goldman study, and I saw it because I have access to their research. Still back from my days of being like a portfolio manager for an RIA, but they did a study on the average momentum factor and the returns by month. And December is actually one of the toughest months for momentum itself. So what you start seeing is a lot of these reversion trades, right? Like, so instead of those breakouts working all the time or like the big names, that's why you start seeing participation from other names. And we have some interesting data on it as well, where you start seeing breadth kind of the reason why you start seeing the breadth pick up, right? So we just did a study not that long ago, and it's just the last 3 years of data. But when you look at like the return by stocks by percentage gains, right? You put them into like a bucket. So a gain of 10% or more, a gain of 0 to 10%, or a loss of 0 to 10%, or a loss of 10 to 25%. Over the last 3 years, the best performer from mid-November through December is oddly enough the loss of 10% to 25% on the year. It's a catch-up trade, and you start seeing that a lot of the time. So that was last 3 years was the average was 2.5%. And it doesn't mean that the performers don't work. You know, they continue to work. You just start seeing a catch-up bid in some of these more smaller names. And I think last
December's the time to love some laggards.
Yeah, so you love some laggards, or coming out into January is another effect that we see. It's basically like the new dogs of the Dow, right? The highest short interest, the ones that were beaten down the most. You kind of see this relief rally start coming in. So it comes in sometime between December and January. Most of the time we see it. And last year, let's see, stocks that were minus 25% or more that were tracked that are optionable, they performed an average return of 3.39%. From mid-November to December. So it's not bad, 44% positive on that. So, I mean, they were the biggest outperformer just last year. So, yeah, I think that's something that, you know, we're going to start seeing here more and more. You're starting to see it with energy even, right? So you look at some of the energy names today, they're performing well. APA is one of them. So
Quick question, Matt. Do you have any data on stocks that start strong and how they perform into the end of the year? Because I don't have any data, but those typically also perform at the highs. So like the ones that are that have had huge runs tend to finish out the year pretty bullish as well.
yeah, so I've seen like some studies before on that. I don't have any data up in front of me, something we could always pull and do at some point, but they don't underperform, right? They just don't outperform typically. A lot of people are looking for that catch up, that reversion style trades. So that's kind of what that momentum factor really is. It's not about like, hey, you know, Nvidia or whatever name is having such a great year that they're not going to still perform into year end. I mean, they're still going to come with the Santa rally, right? They just might not be those huge moves that you're looking for, right? Like, especially like if like me, I'm an options trader. I'm looking for some huge moves, right, to get in, get out. And you know, I understand my hit rate's going to be below 50%, and I'm not as much in stocks. I am personally at times, but you know, so we're looking for a lot of those outside factors, right? So that's kind of where you see it. So it doesn't say that, hey, you know, your PLTRs, your names like that, they're not going to perform. It just means, you know, they're not going to outperform, or at least the data supports it and says they don't usually outperform into year end, but they still perform.
So you're basically saying buy Tesla into year end? Is that what you're saying? Is that what I heard?
I mean, I actually really like. Hey, I like Tesla, so I mean, I think it looks really good right now. And you saw, I mean, the options market was lighting up this morning in Tesla. So
I love the setups that coil right under the 50-day. Those are some of my bread and butters in terms of what usually results from that. I prefer the coil under the 50-day because it can be explosive, and you're seeing that with Tesla here. 3 straight days of rejecting the 50 SMA, boom, straight through and up. There's a lot of names that fall into that category as well, but I prefer that over consolidating above the 50 SMA.
yeah, I mean, even right now, I mean, you could have easily chased this morning to get an entry, right? Like,
Yeah.
just take that break above, you know, and chase it and use like a close, you know, below 450 or something. You could have. So it looks really good. I think, you know, bare minimum, right? I mean, you got those 470s, you're going to go there, but I mean, longer term, I think this thing is going to be huge. I mean, this is a name that I would be looking at more towards 2026.
Talking about?
Huh?
What 470s we talking about?
Yeah, like 4.7. I mean, just recent highs, and
Okay, yeah.
what was it? 2024 high too. So like in that range, I think that's where you would target initially, right? But I do think, this is a name that could be huge going into 2026. Obviously, they got a lot of good things going for them with the Optimus program and robotics. And, obviously there's the sentiment is vastly negative most of the time among people, unless they're their fanboys. And I love those types of setups.
Tesla's going to go down. It'll likely go down as a pretty solid looking pocket pivot today too. Like I would imagine it's going to go. Let's see. I mean, it's only got to do another 20,000 shares to hit the average daily volume, and it's dicing the 50-day. So I don't know. I love it too.
Yeah, I'm in the camp that it's going to go nuts into year end. I've been saying this for a couple of months now, so I've been wrong for a while, but I still think over 600 by year end.
Ooh,
there is not a more permeable Tesla than GP. He's got it in spades.
If it breaks out, I mean, it can go.
We just took out year-to-date highs today. We just closed under the 50. We literally bent everyone over for 3 months on every piece of good news. Bulls and bears, right? Like it's been range bound. So
yeah, it's frustrating, which was what we were pointing at yesterday, right? Because our time frames are different, and without redoing that entire conversation yesterday, I think it comes back to what we say regularly. And GP, you started the show off with it: is they want to divorce you of your shares, right? They want you out of the positions, and I hate using they, but that's the price structure. That's the way the market moves.
I think
you need people to chase it higher. How else are you going to distribute? It's pretty like a 1-2 setup in trading. It's like, how do you and Matt, maybe you can talk about this more because you've been on this side as well. It's like, how else are you going to distribute out if you don't force them out and make them chase higher?
No, I agree. I think one of my favorite setups is the fake out breakout, right? So the fake out, the shakeout, and then the real breakout comes. And I think what is it? Kenny Glick kind of, the quote came from him, like, right, fake out, shakeout, breakout. And that's honestly one of my favorite setups, because what you do is you get a lot of the weak hands out. And I did see, I was going to tell you one thing in GP. There was somebody that was betting on January 2026, $12 million on that Tesla breakout. So they're targeting the 550 strike. So you might get your 600 at year end.
I've seen a lot of those, Matt, and most of them have been intraday trades. They're literally just day trading Tesla. So I'm curious to see if like all last week you would have seen June flow. I believe it was like the 440s or something like that. And they're just trading in and out of it, like getting their $1 or $2 or $3 on these really liquid options. Yeah. And none of it really sticks. So I'm curious to see if it sticks tomorrow. But
I'll look at an OI check for it tonight then, just because I have a little scanner that I try to find clean sweeps, right? Like I'm trying to not find those messy options. These are, hopefully a clean sweep, long-term positions or positioning to get that move, right? So definitely do an OI check on that. But yeah.
Hey Matt, I really loved I guess I coined it, but you were saying it. December's a laggard, laggards catch up trade. And, we talk a lot about being so strategic and having plans. And sometimes both of these things roll all together. And I'm pulling up Marvell Technology, a position that I've been long for years in now. And knowing earnings was coming up, I threw a stink bid in. And lo and behold, it hits. And Marvell's been a laggard. They're still down 20% on the year or so, I believe. But lo and behold, my stink bid hits, and an hour and a half later, I'm not even looking at what's going on. And all of a sudden I'm up 25% in the position. So it's just dumb luck sometimes. But again, that was a conviction for me on the long side for what the company is going to grow to, not the day to day what it's doing. And when you say it's a laggard and this is the time for laggards, it just rings so true in a name like this who hasn't been loved.
Yep. Yeah, no, Marvell would be definitely one in the camp. I've traded a lot too. I trade a little bit different. It's a good premium seller for me, but yeah, I mean, Marvell's in the camp of that, right? I think GP's favorite stock, UNH, probably would be in the camp for that as well.
I would love to pull that chart up. Still
I
going
had to
higher.
do it. I'm sorry.
We had Lex trading on a couple weeks ago, and we spent probably 20 minutes on it, but it was a good chat.
380 to 300, not bad. It played out, but now it actually looks good. So I don't know if it's gonna get that undercut. So hey, I do the chart. So if the chart behaves differently, we change, right? Like
so that you are having a bit of a sentiment change on the way you're viewing UNH right now. I think that's important for everyone to hear that if that's the case.
I thought the rejection from 380 would have undercut the lows, but buyers have stepped in, right? So like what I think and what actually happens is two different conversations. I want and think that the Qs go to all-time highs today, but it's not going to fucking happen, right? Like it takes time to do these things, and we got to process out. I'm happy to always change.
I mean, this is kind of the floor now in UNH, right? From what we're seeing, just as far as price structure, like this is kind of your support level. And
the one thing that's missing is volume. That's the only thing for me that's not there to confirm it in the way that I want to see the bottoms. But for now, price looks better, much better.
I'm just going to make that a lot bigger, just so we have a reminder of
I don't know if
original expectation.
If you look at the September 9th high volume candle, we did undercut the low of that candle, but we didn't have the volume to push it lower.
Yeah, but that's
so I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying in terms of like volume to the upside, but we also didn't have the volume to the downside either, which I think is a positive to the
secondary cut, Nick.
What's that?
In my opinion, is stronger if the volume is higher, because everyone who's bought in the last 3 months before that, or the 6 months, also get weeded out. So what we were just talking about earlier, which is divorce you from your shares. That's the goal. That's why I always want to see volume higher. Doesn't mean it can't go higher. I'm just what my preference is.
I mean, I don't want to have to point this out, but I will.
Yeah, that's
I love it when you have, and this goes back to the undercut, right? You lose the moving averages, you sort of chop around for a bit, and then you cross them back over on a bullish move. That's pretty classic. That, you know, if you can get shares around 335, I would probably want to be in that trade. Anyway, that's just me.
Yeah.
Hey, GP, you did want to touch on something, and I'm interested to hear Nick and Matt's thoughts on this. But GP, you want to talk about the Adam and Eve setups.
Yeah.
You want to explain that, and I'll pull up Palantir, which is one of the charts that you wanted to show that off at. So there you go, GP. Take it away. Can we hear GP?
No.
Lost his mic.
My bad. I'm muted because I was typing. So Adam and Eve isn't talked about quite often. Most people don't like it's head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders, cup and handle, whatever, right? But Adam and Eve is a very typical breakout retest pattern, and it's the pattern that we talked about all of 2022 and 2023 when we talked about the bottom, the double bottom in October. It's what's happening in a lot of these charts, and you can see it. It's a very you can see it tops out, creates a V out, right? On the first top out there. No, the one before that. Yeah. And creates a V out, tries to pull up higher, gets rejected, and then creates a rounding bottom. It's essentially retesting the breakout and the base of the breakout, and it goes higher from here. And so Palantir is one. I actually just got long today at 171. The risk is to 169 if my Adam and Eve is more like Satan, and it dies. But it's I love the risk reward. I love the setup here. It's basically retesting the entire move here over the last 5 months, 6 months. And so I prefer this. I like to do it. And what you see here is also it tried to peak above, it tried to peak below. It's the fake out, shake out.
Yep.
That you were talking about, ready to move. The best place I see it is Palantir is one of them, but our lovely lady Kathy Wood.
Hey, Kathy.
Right now, go back now. Why this one is a lot more powerful is if you go back to the weekly on this.
Sure.
And no, back like 4 years, 5 years, back to the 2021, okay. Right? You'll see that it's created this monster base, right, over the last 3 years, and it tried to, and so like that monster base started to form when the final breakdown happened in the end of 2022. No, just in this basing pattern. You could do it that way too.
I haven't zoomed out on Kathy in a while, and whoo.
Yeah. So, but like if you're looking at the base breakout, starting from like that peak at the end of 2022, where it just got absolutely decimated, you see the volume pick up, right? This is the volume conversation we're talking about. We created a base in this area. We broke out of that base earlier this year, and on the recent market weakness, we just tested it. And what's the response from the buyers? The buyers have so far stepped in and through, and they're already pushing above last week's high, right? So this is your very prototypical Adam and Eve setup, right? It's the base breakout, go. And so this is on a weekly time frame. And so what is Kathy's number one position?
Hotness.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
that's what
Oh, I mean Tesla.
She is hot. She's definitely a gilf.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't realize my mic was open.
Yeah. Or a double gilf.
Ryan, you were supposed to have me on mute. My bad.
Number one positions in Kathy's stock are Tesla, Coinbase, right? Like you go through the top 5. I think Roku's still up there.
I think Roku's in there. Yeah, I was gonna say Roku.
Yeah. And so you look at the charts in Coinbase, which looks like it's about to do the Adam and Eve breakout move with crypto's going to go nuts too, but that's
ARKK top holdings, top 5: Tesla, Roku, Coin, Tempest, and CRISPR, followed very closely behind by Shopify in number 6. So there you go.
And you have XBI breaking out, and CRISPR's right behind. Didn't they get bought out? CRISPR or something in that space got bought out recently?
I couldn't tell you.
It was EXAS. I put a post on it, right? Because
there you go.
Somebody bought a bunch of out of the money options just minutes before the announcement. I'm like, yeah, no, they didn't know.
So just to run down the bottom 10, so Shopify 6, Robinhood 7, Roblox 8, Palantir 9, and Advanced Micro Devices and Lisa Sue rounds out the top 10, and everything else is significantly less going down from that top 10.
Anyway, that's the Adam and Eve setups. You can take a look at it. Bolkowski is thepatternSite.com. If you want to check it out for more information, great place to study and build your arsenal of technical skills.
So what do you think about the ARC, Matt? Or were you going to say something else about this?
I was going to say Bukowski, right? That's the site that gives you all the probabilities, right, of like patterns and stuff like that. Yeah, if I remember from back in the day. Yep.
Yeah,
so
tweet that out, GP. Send that out to the universe.
So others. So many times, but I will. He talks about the hanging man that everyone's been talking about in the monthly, and I believe it's a bullish reversal It's a bullish candle like 58% of the time. So, yeah. Anyway.
No, I think that's a good site for people that want that are learning, right? Because like it also kind of tells you like, hey, you know, like everybody's like, well, you know, when you first start learning the trade, bull flags, high and tight flags, you're like, oh, that's everything, and it's really not, because you actually look at the data and you're like, well, I mean, it still fails a ton of the time, right? So like it just kind of helps you out. No, I think I loved GP's example actually. So I know you want me to disagree with you, but I really liked it on Palantir, especially. I was just talking about it. I did like a little thing where people type in chart tickers they want me to go through, and I did this. It was the last week, I think, or the week before. And the one thing I said was, hey, you know, Palantir, you know, you're right here at that prior low. We actually run a screen every single day to look for stocks like these that are at a big prior low, so that we can go through them. Palantir hit the list. It's also was the massive peak put support level as well at that 150 level. So I mean, Palantir was one of those names that we would look at, looking at it from like a contrarian perspective. A lot of the times people are getting very negative on it, but this is a trade that you're going to want to take at least in the short term, right? Like, so like, yes, this trade can fail. You have many levels still. You're underneath, you know, when you take it, you're underneath most of those moving averages. You know, you're right now going above the 20, you know, you still have the 50 to take out, and then you got the big level there around, what is it? 188 roughly, kind of, you know, 187. I mean, I give it a little play, but, and then that would, you know, if you could take out that level, that would, you know, catapult you up to probably all-time highs very easily. But yeah, I mean, I like it. And the ARC trade, I mean, you know, it's, yeah, on a weekly basis, I see what you're saying there. And, you know, I like how it held, to be honest. It held, it shook everybody out. You came down, you retested even just those prior lows, just, you know, from July and August there, and maybe September too. Yeah. And now you've taken out, you know, 78, 79 there from those highs back then too. And that's kind of like your pivot, right? Like you got the 10-day moving average rolling underneath it. You're back above the 20. You can easily trade this with defined risk. So
yeah, and the move is to about 99. So
exactly.
You can get about 25% on this. Honestly, you just have to take last week's high as a stop for now, right?
Yeah.
If we break back below last week's high, we're gonna go back and retest the bottom, right? So take a small shot here with that 20 to 25% gain on the other side.
Hey, Nick, are you still involved in Palantir?
Yeah, I've got it from 35 and 93.
Who in the hell's tagging bearish in this fucking chat? Come on, chat. This is bullshit. Sorry, I just saw that we're at 65% bears. Like, come on, get your head out of your ass. My bad. I love you, chat. I love you, chat. Hey, you guys want to take a couple minutes and talk some crypto? Some strategy, some MSTR. GP, we said yesterday that it bottomed. Is this the type of behavior you would expect to see from, or the process that you would expect to see, Matt? I already know what GP and Nick are going to say. He can't call it.
It's a tough call on bottom for me here. You know, I mean,
you can be bearish. It's okay.
I'm not overly bearish. It's been beaten down. You know, the time to be bearish was you know, literally a month ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just a tough call here. There's a lot of levels that, you know, yeah. I mean, you could get a nice short-term trade-off even in it. I mean, it's actually a killer trade if it holds this level here, right? Like you can go up to about 230, you know, 233. That will be your next big test there at those prior lows there back in the spring. It's just a really tough situation because, you know, I have the feeling that, you know, they're kind of gunning for him. I mean, he did issue shares basically to pay the dividends, which I don't know how good of a strategy that is. You know, creating a USD reserve to pay your dividends. I guess it's kind of a weird circular thing because, you know, our government also created a Bitcoin reserve, right? So I don't know. I mean, you can. It's defined risk, I guess, to trade against these lows, right? So, if you want to define it against, that 180 level, maybe even bring it down to 170 if you're kind of more risk, not risk averse, but more aggressive. You can do that, and I don't hate the trade. I think it's a tough trade sometimes.
Not for you. And
Just
you
not for
probably
me,
heard me
yeah.
say 75 times, it's too hard. It's too hard.
Yeah.
When we were in California, it's just too hard.
But
GP.
it's the classic breakout, fake out, shake out, go, right? Like
It is.
that's a Morningstar reversal candle. That is an abandoned baby candle. That is a peak below and reverse candle. And it's on volume, right? Like it's now. So let's say that's the bottom. Now you need to say that the buyers come through and follow through. So far, they are following through. Third day, right? We're following through, putting an inside day here. We go inside up tomorrow. It's game the fuck on. But that's me. I'm also short-term trading a lot more these days because this market is driving me nuts. But
if you zoom out to the weekly on Mister, it's kind of the same thing I was pointing out in UNH, just on a larger time frame. Back in early March, you saw those basically the breakout candles when Mister broke above 80 and kind of pushed into 180. You have the high volume highs there basically sitting here at 180. And while price did, undercut the high of that, pending it holds here, I mean, you should be seeing follow through to the upside, just being that you don't have the volume to necessarily push it lower. So I'd rather be playing the coins themselves than like Mister. But I mean, I think you have a pretty easy RR here, especially going down to the daily, because you could just basically say like, hey, if price reverts and either fills the gap or maybe even like engulfs that, that hanging man candle, whatever that was on. I mean, and that's going to go down as a high volume candle anyway. So if price does revert, you want to see the high of that December 1st candle hold. If you see price start to creep within that candle, I mean, I'd be hitting the button. I'm fucking out, because I'd be thinking that price is going to go back to retest that 155, 160,
or a new leg low, right?
Or a new leg lower, right? Yeah, totally. So it's like you can kind of, when it comes to I think this kind of setup, you can kind of both zoom in and zoom out to kind of nitpick your entry and then just kind of layer it from there.
I mean, if you loved it at 300 and 290, you're going to love it at 180.
Yeah.
If MicroStrategy breaks down, there's a bigger conversation here because it's a Bitcoin breakdown. I don't think it divorced itself from Bitcoin's price action overall over the last few months. So now it's got to divorce itself from the Bitcoin price action. So if you think Bitcoin is bottom, then you're probably going to be in the same camp that that MicroStrategy, Coinbase, and all the different names around it are bottoming as well. It's a process.
Well, the key for Bitcoin, right, is to get above 100K as quickly as possible, right? And then more than that, it's got to break 110, right? Like it's got to come up here and not just stall out. It needs to get over 100K or it risks this. And we all know what that is. I'm not going to draw the rest of it. We don't always believe in patterns, but that would be a pretty ominous pattern given what has transpired in the entire cryptocurrency market over the last month, right? Like you would have everyone and their brother except the Bitcoin maxis and the people who have it as a religion running for the door.
Yeah.
Matt, are you trading any crypto?
Yeah, a little bit. And I'm in the camp of 100, right? So like, if you want to take a tradable bottom here, that's kind of fine. I mean, you've had many opportunities to take a trade down here in Bitcoin itself. but the 100K is a big level. It's just psychological, right? 100 round number, but it's also year to date anchored VWAP level as well. So the average buyers there, and over the year to date, so around 100K right now. So I do think that's a pretty big level. I sat there and looked at Mr. MSTR there. I guess a better way for me to for somebody that might have some reservations about some of the things that they do as a company. A good way for me to play, I'd be looking at maybe credit spreads. You could do that so you can define your risk. It's got a decent premium on it, and that way if it does chop about and kind of just holds the level more, so you still can make money on it, or you can roll those up. So that would be me on that. Ether, I can't remember where's Ether. Is it back above 3,000 now?
Yep, 3,100.
All right, so that's kind of a level. We were looking at that, last year or later or this past year, and I don't know. I had something on Stocktwits there. I took a position personally on that breakout. So it's interesting that it's kind of holding this level here now, which also ends up being, we're taking out year-to-date anchored VWAP level today. So, defined risk against that kind of like that 2,800 region there in Ether.
Yep.
And if you want, you can always go play proxies, right? Treasury proxies. I'd rather just buy the coin itself. I think that's something. I mean, I don't have to deal then with, the companies itself and them issuing debt or anything like that. I just buy the actual, crypto itself, and it's a lot easier. And secondly, I can get out of it on the weekend if I want. So.
Yep.
Ethereum sure seems to be looking a lot better than I think Bitcoin at the moment.
Yeah, I think it looks okay. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, these level ones are going to make or break what's happening on the rest of the market. It was like our conversation with Solana. Right, Solana went down more because that's where all the meme coins and most of the shit coins are. So it's just gonna intrinsically have more beta to it, and when the market's going to go down, it's going to go down 2 or 3-fold, right?
Sure.
Yeah. I have been a long time proponent of just owning the coin. Part of my strategy, being a long-term, buyer practically of everything on the long side, is at times I want to throw torque against my positions. And sometimes these proxies are a good way to do that. And sometimes these proxies are a great way to get a haircut like I got. But at the same time, that's a tactic I do quite often when I throw the Soxel trade on, right? Nick, I tweeted at you yesterday. It's like a reward when I take on my Soxel trade. It's like, I know that we're in a bullish period and I'm just going to, take on more to the upside because I'm going 3x, or in crypto's case, you can throw on a proxy trade. Right now, I'm not in any of the proxies. So I'm still holding coins, but yeah, it's still, for me, I don't necessarily need confirmation, but we aren't quite in the all clear, in my opinion, in the entire crypto space. But Ethereum does look good, and that was something that I did take a little bit more on Monday. Let's see what the chat's got for us. Oh, go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
No, I was going to say we didn't really touch on it yesterday, but the thought process behind the Soxel, and even I have the TQs on also. It's kind of like it's an easy trade. I feel like it's almost, I don't want to say easy money, but when you've got price above the short-term moving averages, I think it's an opportunity to throw an easy money trade on. Which even kind of brings us back to the conversation with the dude at Granite Shares when we were in stock or in Coronado, just talking about like the TSL or the leverage ETFs. It's like, yeah, I don't know. That was just kind of the point. I didn't mean to like derail the convo, but
no, not at all. Ask the chat for a few names. One name, Hey Shu, thanks for joining us, Shu. Throughout there was Adobe. I've traded in and out Adobe since the last earnings a little bit. I reinitiated a position in Adobe this morning. So I like Adobe here. And Matt, this is another one of those laggard trades. And Adobe has been hit hard. And I just think that if anybody thinks Adobe's going to zero because of AI, they don't know the hooks that Adobe has in, the rest of industry.
No,
Is there
they
any
do.
other place to like edit photo and video other than
I mean,
Adobe?
Yeah.
Yeah, Adobe's
that's
a
better.
full service shop, right?
Sure.
There are, you can put in whatever into Gemini 3, or you can use Canva, but ultimately the enterprise is almost 100% Adobe.
Yeah. And then there's, I think, what, Figma too, right? FIG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's the one that everybody kind of thought would kill Adobe, but I mean Adobe, yeah, I mean Adobe's got their claws into their customers pretty well. I mean there's going to be some attrition, obviously, with people changing things, but to think that they're not going to develop more AI or acquire it if they need to, I think that's kind of short-sighted, because they will. I've traded Adobe a few times this year, and every time from the call side, to be honest. Yes, it looks like crap most of the time, but it's those moves that you're looking for in their short-term trades. But I do think Adobe, I mean, longer term, I mean, if I was going to look at for annual picks, I'll do sometimes, or look for a little bit more than a year. I'll look at names like this, because these are the names that are going to turn around and have a big year when you're looking at it from a longer term perspective. Um, I don't know. Right now, I mean, what are you back at? 2023 kind of lows. Well, not lows, but yeah, 2023 lows.
Yeah, you're close to the 2022 lows. Yeah, you're close. You're about, what is that? My math's bad today. 10% or less. If I can get my little clicker to work here. Yeah, about 10% from the lows, 15% from the lows of 2022.
Yeah. So and that's the big low, right? So
Yep.
it's not a bad spot to start thinking about the name, right? I don't think so.
Hey, GP, you threw out a whole host of lists in the chat there. Anyone particularly you want to touch on?
Yeah. So this goes according to the conversation that I've been having for a couple months now, which is the real economy is going to be on fire in 2026. The real economy has been measured for a long time by our good friend Dr. Copper.
Oh boy.
And the Dow transport theory. These are all look at what transports have done over the last 7 to 8 days. Look at what copper is about to do. If you're in the camp with me that the real economy takes off, Dr. Copper leads the way. And you've already seen metals one after the other break out of multi-decade bases. Look at what gold did this year, right? It's been, Nick, we talked about it. Once it takes out all-time highs, just set it and forget it. It has doubled in that time. Yes, you could have bought it 1600 and been a bit cheaper, but the easiest trade is once it took out that decade-long base. Silver is on the verge of taking out a 47-year base.
It's crazy.
Older than I am. It is ready to move out, and copper's also in the multi-decade base. And so I looked through a bunch of copper names today. Rio Tinto is the one that, can you go to a yearly chart on this?
I would love to do that for you, GP.
Yeah. So, look at that, tag the moving average, and also, but look at how much buying has been happening over the last 17 years in Rio Tinto here, right? Like, it is year after year that people are buying, hoping for solid dividend here too, if you're wishing to hold on to it for a long time. This is not going to be a name that goes 10x like Rocket Labs and stuff like that, but Steady Eddie, great name to me. And what you're seeing here this year is in about 50 cents. It's about to do a bullish
Engulfing
outside year on volume, right? So I talk about high time frames. This is as high time frames as you can get. You see an inverse head and shoulders setting up against that 2009 massive red bar as well on the yearly. This is a name that you set it and forget it, in my opinion. You're getting about a $4, I think it's about a $4.10 dividend on a $74 stock. So you're looking at about 6-7% while you wait for the growth to hit this name. So that's another one. The other one is XOM. Same exact structure. 7
Gosh.
years of going sideways, and has spent the last 3 years creating a cup at the 2008 highs.
Hey, Nick, you
just,
threw out.
I was just kidding.
No. You posted net, which I love to talk about cloud fabric. But before we get there, Matt, I'm curious for you. Everybody talks about patterns and candlestick patterns and chart patterns. GP talked about the Adam and Eve earlier. Do you pay attention to things like bullish and bearish engulfing? Do you use them with context? Is that even something you think about?
So, I mean, I put a little less weight on candles on a personal level, but I do like engulfings, right? Like engulfings will tell me, hey, all right, there's either a lot of selling pressure and then say that reverses even the next day, then it's like, hey, you kind of shook out a lot of people. So that tells me that there's just a lot of volume. There's a lot of sellers or a lot of buyers in it that day. That's kind of what I want to look at a little bit more. Like I think like hanging mans and, hammer candles I like at bottoms, but like hanging mans, I always kind of take it with a grain of salt. I think GP mentioned the statistics on that even earlier. It's, they're all right. They can call tops, but they're not something that I take a ton of weight on. So that's not as much part of my process, I would say, but it is something. Yeah, I mean, I think I look at it. It's who doesn't really look at them. It's just, is it going to wait on if I'm going to put the position on as much? Not necessarily. So
yeah, it's not necessarily actionable, but it can be a flag, either green or red.
It's
I think
a conversation,
for those that are listening, I think it was Steve Neeson who put out the Japanese candle charting techniques book. I think the individual candle patterns I find to be probably more reliable on the larger time frames, but then also in alignment with like bigger build out patterns. Just kind of how I've approached them. I think trying to play like an individual candle on like a daily or like a smaller time frame, I would imagine to be pretty exhausting.
Erratic, right?
Yeah.
Nick, what do you like about Cloudflare? I forgot my tassels, but you got me tingly over here.
It definitely led the space out of the 2022 bear, and pretty much rode the 200-day all the way up. Or I shouldn't say rode the 200-day. It respected the 200-day on the way up, and so you're getting a second opportunity here versus the 200-day. When it comes to the 200-day moving average, I generally try to, at the very least, expect some fuckery around the moving average, whether they undercut it or not. So rather than trying to like, yeah, sure, you could try and catch the knife, which, I mean, your risk is you can define it pretty easily by the moving average if you wanted to, or where the 200-day is currently sitting, it's in alignment with the prior breakout, which was basically right there at 180. Or you could play like the first ABCD leg up off of that kind of like, let's just call it a capitulation low, price.
Yeah.
This is like kind of another example of what both Matt and GP were talking about, where you had a breakout failure. It led to an undercut. So a lot of people probably got flushed under 200. Price kind of fucked around between the 180, 190. You could use probably 205, maybe like 207 as your B point. And that would put you at kind of at least in the short term, put you at a measured move, probably around like 220, I would imagine, which is above the 50-day. But I don't know. I like it, and I think it was one of the strongest out. I'm not in it currently, but it was one that I rode the last couple of years. So I only pointed out because our dude Zob was talking about snow, which also I think looks fantastic. It's kind of snow's flirting with that stage 2 continuation, where if it can take out that 280, I think that's where you would probably definitively say we are resuming trend, and the stage 2 continuation is happening. I would definitely say that Snow and Net are probably my two favorites. Datadog, I don't know why I always lump Datadog in with the 3, and it's just not behaving as well. But the other is App Lovin', and I think App is looking fantastic here too, which obviously is probably actually I should have said probably App is probably more of a leader out of the 2022 bear than Net, but
And it's expensive.
yeah, and it's expensive.
What?
So that was just my take on Net.
Nick, are you watching MDB? Because
MTB
that MDB, MongoDB.
and yeah.
That is the name that's going to guide us through all of this. That is back-to-back 25 to 30% moves off earnings. The trend is now going to change. This is going to be an easy trader. So, this is your ignition bar, right? This is your confirmation on what's happening in software. I personally don't like the snow chart, but I can see the bullish setup. But I'm just not gonna play it. That's just me. But yeah, I think MongoDB's reaction to back-to-back earnings is a massive trend shift, right? It's a character shift, which we talk about all the time. When stocks do nothing for 3 months and then pop, do nothing for 3 months and pop, there is someone who's got this support. Not one person. It's a conglomerate of people buying MongoDB. But this is software looks good except for team. Team looks terrible.
Look at the IGV. The IGV looks. I still think it looks great. It undercut the 200-day again. Probably washed a shit ton of people out, and right now kind of pushing above that November 20th bar, which is a high volume bar. We don't really.
Again, another undercut and go. I want to get to one more that Za threw out there. WAB, Westinghouse Air Brake. This is a real world company here. GP. It looks pretty good. New highs.
It does.
I don't think I've ever heard of this stock.
And the other one that he threw out was PCAR.
That one looks good.
Yeah. Zal, we got to have you on the pod sometime, man. You throw out some good stuff. You and Randy are always here dropping knowledge. We're running out of time, but you know what time it is. It's our final thoughts or last words. And today we'll start with Nicholas. Nick?
Matt, was great to have you on the show. Would love to have you again. Looking forward to seeing you after the new year. And in honor of Za, expensive stays expensive. There you go.
Hell yeah. GP?
Matt, I wish we could talk like we did in Stocktwits. That was a lot of talking. But we only have an hour. Thanks for being on. And from an analysis perspective, one candle without context is useless.
There you go.
Yeah,
Matt, floor is yours, brother. Thanks again.
Yeah, no, it's great hanging with you guys. I fully agree there. One candle without context is obviously useless. I do think it's could be some volatility coming into 2026, but that's not necessarily bearish, right? Like I kind of agree with GP's take that we're going to see a lot of real world companies start coming back. We're seeing it in energy today. Name I mentioned earlier was APA. There's a few other names out there as well. If you really want to kind of get some extra leverage on that copper idea of GP's, SCCO, check that out. That hit 2024 lows or 2024 highs and bounced not that long ago. So that one likes to fly a little bit more. But I mean, it was a great time being on the show, talking with you boys again, and I'm available whenever. So
Yeah, Matt, we loved having you. Thanks so much. We had some great conversations when we were in Coronado. But thanks to the chat. Thanks for being here. As always, you'll see us right back here every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Stocktwits Community Rip Live. And don't forget, don't get run down. Give your dead batteries away free of charge.
You could do better.